Hi, welcome to Eye on South Asia. I'm Sunil Hali.
And I'm Sujit Rajan.
Every week we bring you news, views and latest happenings on and about South Asian community in United States of America. Let's begin with the top stories of the week. So Sujit, Mrs. Hillary Clinton has come up with huge praises about India just before the timing when she's about to make her next trip to India. And it's very open praise about the significant role that these Asian Indian, especially Indian American community has played. I think it's a good setting before she goes out and taking the goodwill and the support of this huge 4 million community from America. So what do you think?
Sunil, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is going to India next week for US-India strategic talks. And it can't come at a better time. What with the Mumbai blasts all over, it's like a deja vu with these blasts happening all over, again in Mumbai. But more importantly, the State Department has been reaching out to the diaspora in the US. Remember, there's an election coming up in 2012. But the Indian American community has been targeted a lot by the Clintons. Before, one of the great friends of India has been President Bill Clinton, and now Hillary Clinton seems to be following in his footsteps. And she has tried to make amends for a lot of things which have gone wrong between the two countries. Recently the Tagore Rana case which happened in Chicago, India was pretty disappointed with the fact that Rana could not be extradited to India. And then the US had reasons to feel aggrieved because of the defense jet deal didn't happen. That was a $10 billion deal that didn't get through. But then again, this week, some of those wounds have been assuaged after India disclosed that a $4 billion jet deal has been given to Boeing. So, there is a tremendous opportunity for the two countries to cooperate in terms of job growth and also, the economic opportunities. But I think the terrorism is one area which both the US and India will be really looking very closely at.
Mrs. Clinton has actually set the whole foundation for the trip, and she says next week I'll be in New Delhi for her second US-India strategic dialogue, where she expects to discuss new ways to advance the goals. And she's talking of purely, actually the stress is on the economic opportunities which she thinks the two countries can build, and which eventually can help, especially the poorer countries, to come out of the poverty. And of course, she came out with a strong statement yesterday, this time, against the terrorist attacks and the bombing attacks in the Bombay, just before when she's about to travel.
Right.
I think she has learned a lot from while she was with the President Clinton, that this access is of a great use as being the secretary today, but who knows what her larger plans are for the next term, as you said, for the elections coming up.
Absolutely. When you talk of, help for the poorer countries, especially the African, the continent, when the Minister of Finance, Pranab Mukherjee, was here recently, right. India, US both had a joint agreement where this actually specifically came up, and the two countries have now decided to put up a substantial amount of money for the African continent. But I think, Sunil, terrorism is something India has always stressed on, that the US should look closely at Pakistan, where the terror seems to be emanating from. And I think, apart from these diplomatic noises which are made out in the open, finally talks which are held behind closed doors sometimes do not really work out, as we have seen in the last few months. And again, I want to point out the border security bill which the US imposed on a lot of working professionals from India, and it hit the Indian IT companies really hard. They were like, Indian IT companies said that they were losing more than $200 million because of that. Right. So, certain things, the noises are made that there has to be more economic cooperation, but then at the end of the day, one finds that both the countries do not really see eye to eye on certain issues that the countries really want to go forward on.
Yeah, but there seems to be a slight shift, as we'll touch in the next story. And before we go on to that one, at least she has made one significant statement that all these talks and discussions and help, even then she doesn't think that all the problems that the world is facing today cannot be removed in one day.
Well, I just want to point out that, Secretary Clinton this was actually a video message which she gave at the, there was a conference which was organized by the East-West Center and the India-US World Affairs in Washington, D.C. And she has specifically mentioned that, we are working together to create economic opportunities for people. We are addressing climate change and giving more people and nations a pathway out of poverty.
Right.
And apart from that, she does acknowledge that the countries just cannot solve all the problems at one time, but it would need it's a step-by-step process. Which
But the administration, I'll tell you honestly, is taking into the consideration what India has been talking about for quite some time as the next story that we are touching, which is about the tension that suddenly you see between US and Pakistan. The recent announcement that Pakistan has been asked or told that they'll be US is suspending the $800 million aid to Pakistan, which is a significant move, and for that reason I think there is again a very high level meet going to be taking place between the top army brass of Pakistan. I believe the General Ashraf Parvez Kayani with his Joint Chiefs of Chairman General Khalid Shamim Wayan is meeting with Marine General James Mattis, who heads the US's Central Command. In fact, that meeting just took place, and I think that is in the line of what India has been talking about, and US also understand it, but this may be probably the beginning of one more way to put pressure on the Pakistan establishment.
President Barack Obama's Chief of Staff William Daley said this week that the US was suspending the aid until the two countries can see eye to eye on several issues, including the drone attacks. But Sunil, what I really find interesting is that when it really comes to the US interests, they act immediately. India has been complaining for a long time about terror emanating from Pakistan. But guess what? And there is, I just want to mention the specific case why the US has, it's a long, it's an ongoing process for the last 10 years. US has spent more than $20 billion, in aid to Pakistan. But, one specific case seems to have caught the US attention. The US has condemned the Pakistani army authorized beating and killing of journalist Salim Shahzad. So, this seemed to have created a lot of friction between the two countries, and Shahzad was actually investigating alleged Pakistani military and intelligence involved in an attack on a Pakistani naval base with a lot of US soldiers posted. But, they got intelligence of this attack prior to the attack, and it was curbed, or it was stopped totally. So it seems that, the moment they come to know that the Pakistani army and the Pakistani intelligence authorities seem to connive together to create such attacks, and it could have hurt their own interests, they have immediately stepped their foot down.
See, Sujit, I think US has to really at some point come together and have a clear decision making that they have to go forward with what they keep on saying. Like here, on one side they are talking about, they have suspended the $800 million aid to Pakistan. On the other hand, there is the Marine Colonel Dave Lappin, who is suddenly playing it down. He says, look, these unsettling developments between the two countries are a very normal thing, and the relationship will continue to move forward. We have all our ups and downs in like any other relationship, but this is typical with other allies also. So they don't come very decisively about what they want to do. I think this is where the might and the will of this administration or administration after administration in USA has been lacking. On the other hand, if you look at this, the moment a simple action, like in this case, a suspension has been announced, Pakistan comes out very strongly and they say, all these years, even though, like you said, billions of dollars have been given even after 9/11, a small cut, a small drop, a small resistance, like US, use the base to take out Mr. Osama bin Laden, and this upset the Pakistanis. In fact, they should all be happy because they were all working together. Everybody had a declared goal that they'll work together to take him out. And the moment US takes him out, they're upset. And they ask, I believe, there are about 150 to 200 special operation trainers which Pakistan had asked for with their gadgets, with their capabilities and expertise, and suddenly they are being asked to vacate the land of Pakistan. I think this is not only, but I believe Pakistan also wants the US to vacate the Shamsi Air Base, which was the main base, which is the capital of Balochistan and next to the Afghanistan border, and they are being asked to vacate that place. So how do you go hand in hand, and the moment you do something which is very significant, the whole world is looking for, and then you are being asked to vacate?
Well, Pakistan has got its own troubles. Troubles have been fermenting domestically for a long time. the people of Pakistan are sick and tired of the almost on a daily basis the terrorist attacks that happen inside their own country. The civilian population is very unhappy with the administration. So there's increasing pressure on Pakistan to show at least a facade of protest against the US, and with the drone killings happening again on almost a weekly basis where dozens of people die in those attacks, they almost seem pressurized to act against the US, especially now that the US is cutting 1/3 of the total military aid, the $800 million.
Sujit, while this tussle going on between US and Pakistan right now, which is essentially in between the Muslim world and the US. On the other hand, we have a great event or happening in the United States of America. It's almost like an oasis here. And here is a wonderful organization called ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. I think it is the largest Muslim organization in America, and it was founded in 1953. And today, almost they're claiming 500,000 members. And they have built a beautiful headquarter in Indianapolis, which is almost $50 million, and it was funded by the Muslim Brotherhood leader Yusuf Nada and the Emir of Qatar. And the goal is very clear. See, this is what people need to come up with. The organization is very clear. They want to be exemplary and unifying Islamic organization in North America that contributes to the betterment of Muslim community and society at large. And our crew, which was there to cover the event, will show some of the excerpts to our viewers. It's just wonderful. There is music, there is culture, there is education, there are seminars. I think this kind of relationship, this kind of events will foster goodwill between the two communities.
Let's take a look.
Thank you.
So before we are different nations and tribes, we are brothers and sisters coming from a common parentage, coming from a common set of parents. So there's a fundamental human bond that we share. Before the distinctions between us arrive.
I've been coming to ISNA conventions since I was 1, so about 38, 39, I might have missed 1 or 2 in there. I have been working with youth for the past 25 years, principally with MYNA, Muslim Youth of North America, over the last 25 years. And I am very happy, as always, to be here at the ISNA convention. It's really a home away from home and a chance to meet a lot of old friends and family.
I'm a Navy recruiter. And in recruiting, we let people know that there are many, many denominations in the Navy, over 200 denominations, Protestant, Jewish, Catholic, and Muslim. So we have Muslim chaplains in the U.S. Navy.
There's no doubt that ISNA has evolved and grown and matured like any organization or any human individual. Over years and experience, we all develop and we strengthen and we mature. We go through our ups and downs.
Over 45 million Americans do not have health insurance. And this is a good opportunity to get people to come in. We'll screen them for diabetes, we screen them for high blood pressure, we screen them for high respiration rates. We have dental screenings here, we have spinal screenings here. We're also doing a blood drive and many other aspects of healthcare. This is something that we do at ISNA every year. We find it benefits the community, Muslim and non-Muslim community.
freedom.
So Sujit, you saw such a nicely organized event, and this was in their annual convention, and the first time it started was 1963, which is long before even the South Asians truly started to immigrate in this country.
Almost 50 years, Sunil, and this convention that we saw actually took place on the July 4th weekend in the suburbs of Chicago.
Which is also a symbol and the celebration of America's Independence Day. I think we'll come back with more interesting stories as we come back after the break. Stay there.